You don't get any double talk from me. I'm either for something or against it.
Filling the shoes of Harry Truman is no easy job. But actor Gary Sinise is attempting just that for the title role in the historical drama, Truman. And to portray the former president in his later years, Sinise is transformed by a new generation of old-age prosthetics. Coming up, we'll see how Gordon Smith and his team at FX Smith mature Gary Sinise from a young Missouri farmer to give him Hell Harry. We'll meet Dick Smith, the master of aging effects, who transformed a youthful Dustin Hoffman into the 121-year-old Little Big Man. And we'll learn how makeup artist Robert Schiffer took Burt Lancaster into his twilight years for Birdman of Alcatraz. As they apply the secrets of their ageless craft, these wizards of special makeup effects are changing the face of filmmaking. Next on Movie Magic. At the first light of dawn, long before the movie cameras roll or a single line of dialogue is spoken, special makeup effects artists and the actors they will transform arrive on set. Together, they will attempt to achieve perhaps the most difficult of makeup illusions, character aging that is subtle and believable. Unlike the design of fantasy or horror makeup, which is limited only by the imagination, old-age makeup must be based on reality. Doro Bachrach, producer of the HBO production of Truman, was insistent that the aging makeups in her film be totally believable.
I was looking for something different, and I heard about Gordon Smith, and I heard that he had done every film for Oliver Stone since Platoon, and that Oliver simply found it difficult to make a picture that needed makeup without Gordon, and so I approached him on this film, and I told him that I thought he was the only person who could do the picture.
At his Toronto-based company, FX Smith, Gordon Smith has been developing realistic aging effects materials for the past 13 years. He and his team have pioneered the use of silicone gel-filled prosthetics, which look and feel much like human skin. Gordon first used these materials in the epic drama Legends of the Fall to convincingly age actor Gordon Tatousis from 40 to 110.
The only successful old age makeup is where you are not aware that there has been any tampering or anything artificial done to the skin or done at all. The camera and the audience must believe that there is virtually nothing artificial that they are looking at.
These new prosthetics signal a major departure from traditional opaque foam latex appliances in that they are translucent, allowing the actor's skin tones and texture to show through. Gordon's present task is to age actors Gary Sinise and Diana Scarwid as they portray Harry and Bess Truman from their early 30s through their late 60s. This is the first film in which Gordon's new materials will age leading characters throughout an entire story.
And cut. One more right away, please.
The arduous makeup process takes between 3 and 4 hours a day. Overseeing the transformation of the actors is key prosthetic makeup artist Russell Cate. Sensitive to the discomfort of sitting so long in the makeup chair, Russell and the FX Smith team have made efforts to reduce the actor's stress while in the makeup trailer.
It's very important to make the actor feel that they can trust you, that you're not going to do anything to hurt them, and that the entire process is worth the amount of effort.
Russell begins the application process with a thorough cleansing of the actor's face. This is vital for even adherence of the prosthetics.
Pieces are then fitted in place. You drop your first piece in, which in this case is the upper lip, get your positioning properly. Adhesive is applied to the skin, allowed to dry, and the piece is gently laid down. And then the next piece can be put into position, matched, so that the edges just come to the right place, which is always tricky. And then it's just by a matter of a quarter of an inch or half an inch at a time, applying the glue.
In addition to the prosthetics, Russell uses Dermplast, a combination gelatin and glycerin material that constricts the skin and amplifies any wrinkling the actor already has. It is used on areas of the skin, such as the neck, not covered by the prosthetics.
The concept of aging is a very real thing. Everybody does it, but in the motion picture industry, where you're doing it artificially, you are restricted to the materials that you have in your hands.
The first step in making old age prosthetics is taking a life cast of each actor. This is a process by which a fast-setting substance such as alginate or silicone is applied to the actor's face and allowed to set. A replica of the actor's face is made from the life cast, on top of which is sculpted the character face. Then a final mold of the character face is produced.
That's good. That's just the right thickness.
To create the prosthetics, silicone gel is injected into the mold. The silicone is pre-colored with pigment, makeup, and fibers, mixed to match the actor's skin tones and texture. The mold is then set aside so that the silicone can set or cure, which takes approximately 3 hours. When the mold is opened, each prosthetic is carefully examined for imperfections. If the edges are too thick or too thin, the entire process must begin again. After the completed prosthetics have been approved by Gordon Smith, they are delivered to the set of Truman in Kansas City, Missouri.
Gordon, at one point said, listen, I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to be a pain in the butt to deal with, because it's having something on your face all day long. It's not a natural thing for people to put a prosthetic on their face.
Even after all of the pieces are in place and the actors are ready to step onto the set, Gordon is still not ready to breathe a sigh of relief.
When the actor comes out of the trailer, everybody likes it, it's wonderful, it looks great. But there's a whole other thing there, which is the actor and how comfortable they are and how easy their speech is. That is probably, to me, the most important thing, because the whole concept of me taking away from an actor's performance is failure.
It's a little bit difficult to tell if what you're doing underneath the makeup is coming across. So I tend to exaggerate a little bit so it'll cut through the makeup. I've asked Frank, the director, to keep an eye on that, and he says, the things that I'm doing underneath are coming across.
Transformed by Gordon Smith's artistry, Gary Sinise convincingly takes the audience back to the years of Harry S. Truman.
Mrs. Roosevelt, is there anything I can do for you?
Is there anything we can do for you? You are the one in trouble now.
When we come back, we'll meet the pioneer who taught today's makeup artists a thing or two about growing old gracefully. When makeup artist Dick Smith aged actor F. Murray Abraham for the role of Antonio Salieri in Amadeus, he brought 40 years of experience in aging effects to the film. The elaborate and convincing aging of Abraham won Smith the 1984 Academy Award for Best Makeup.
When I do a makeup like, say, Amadeus, I'm taking techniques that I developed maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago that have all kind of snowballed into a much more refined approach to these technical and artistic problems.
Considered to be the grand master of old age makeup, Dick Smith has also received an Academy Award nomination for the 1989 film Dad, and an Emmy Award for the 1967 television production of Mark Twain Tonight. For much of his old age work, Smith has used foam latex, which came into popular use in the movie business in the late 40s. At that time, single-piece foam latex masks or appliances were utilized in aging actors. The single-piece appliance proved too restrictive for Smith, however, when faced with the ambitious task of transforming 31-year-old Dustin Hoffman into the 121-year-old Little Big Man. It was during the making of this film in 1970 that Dick Smith developed the overlapping appliance technique, which has since become the industry standard.
Because foam shrinks, it would be hard to get on. It would make the actor feel constricted because it would have to be stretched. You can do a much better job if you put on a forehead and then some eye bags and then some cheeks and a nose and a chin and so forth and so forth.
In 1973, Dick Smith used foam latex appliances for Max von Sydow's character Father Merrin in The Exorcist. Director William Friedkin was determined to shoot von Sydow in close-ups without diffused lighting, as had been used on previous aging makeups, including Little Big Man. So Smith was faced with the challenge of realistically aging von Sydow, who was in his early 40s, into the 80-year-old priest.
I developed a whole coloration process that was new at the time. Instead of using one color of flesh tone over the rubber makeup, I divided it into different areas and used a different tone in each place, which is more like the real thing.
In 1983, Smith developed further aging techniques during the making of The Hunger, in which he aged David Bowie from 30 to a 150-year-old vampire in 6 progressive stages. A last-minute decision by the director to add a stubble beard over Bowie's aging makeup presented a special problem, because hair could not be glued properly over the greasy makeup then used on latex appliances. Smith combined a new adhesive called Prosaid with acrylic paints to create a non-greasy, flexible, smear-proof appliance paint, which he called Pax. Not only can hair be glued over it, but its many superior qualities have made it the most widely used material for coloring appliance makeups and animatronic puppets. In 1989, Smith was called on to design the old age makeup for Jack Lemmon in the dramatic film Dad.
Jack has an ideal face. All his features were easy to age. I determined that if I made him bald or semi-bald, that would work out well. And I decided that he would look good in a mustache. That would help the aging and also change him from the usual Jack Lemmon image, which is one of the things that I sought to do.
The application process, which took between 2 and 3 hours a day, was done by makeup artists Ken Diaz and Greg Nelson. They, together with Smith, received an Academy Award nomination for their subtle and believable aging effects.
I've always considered aging really the ultimate challenge in makeup, to try to make it look totally believable and not like makeup. I mean, that's the ultimate. So I'm a person who's a perfectionist, and I've always tried to find better ways to do this. I benefit from it, and everyone else benefits from it. It's a legacy that I pass on to the industry. The younger generation is reaching and passing me by and will carry the torch on further, as it should be.
Several of Dick's protégés have gone on to win Academy Awards of their own, including Greg Canham for Mrs. Doubtfire, Kevin Haney for Driving Miss Daisy, and Rick Baker for Ed Wood.
He, more than anybody, is responsible for the state-of-the-art of makeup effects today, and a lot of that was because he shared the information. You know, he came up with a lot of unique ways of doing things, and he would share it with anybody who wanted to know.
Dick Smith continues his work today, researching and developing translucent materials and gel-filled appliances.
Silicone gel-filled appliances are the thing of the future, I believe. I've been talking this up and kind of promoting it for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm working on some now, and it's very exciting.
The materials and techniques of aging effects may change with the times, but the artistry, generosity, and enthusiasm passed down by Dick Smith is truly ageless.
Mediocrity is everywhere.
When we return, We'll look into the future of makeup effects by stepping back into the Truman era.
Well, I don't give them hell. I just tell the truth on them, and they think it's hell.
Robert Schiffer, head of the Disney Studios makeup department, began his career in the early 1930s. It wasn't long before he became one of the most sought-after makeup artists in Hollywood. Without a roadmap to follow, Schiffer learned aging techniques through trial and error. During this period, one of the materials he used was a liquid latex compound called stipple. When applied to the face, it constricts the skin, enhancing any wrinkles the actor already has. In 1962, Schiffer was faced with what he considers his greatest artistic challenge, taking Burt Lancaster, who was then 49 years old, from 20 to 70 in the classic prison drama Birdman of Alcatraz.
It was done mostly with highlights and shadows and you know, some little small stipple rubber work, and in fact I put a whole aging beard on him with rubber and hair, which had never been done before. Just stippled the rubber on and then set the hair in the rubber. Then of course I got the rimless glasses, which helped the age.
Although aging techniques vary from artist to artist, old age guidelines remain constant. Sagging skin, thinning or graying hair, wrinkles, and eye bags. The best Truman aging makeup for the HBO drama Truman consists of 2 stages. For her late 40s, only actress Diana Scarwood's neck will be altered. When Bess reaches her 50s, Scarwood will wear full face and neck prosthetics.
We wanted to do something interesting with the character of Bess. As Truman got into national prominence, Bess became a sort of overweight Midwestern housewife, plump and her chin's rolling under, and there was just something about the character that demanded it.
For Harry Truman, Gary Sinise wears a prosthetic nose piece throughout the film. When Harry reaches his 50s, the forehead, upper lip, and jaw and cheek appliances are added.
We have tried to take my face, use my face and age it, but also add little Truman touches to it.
When he's younger, we gave him plumpers, which are the things that set into your teeth, which push his cheeks out a little bit. And we also push his lower lip out a little bit, which were features that Harry Truman had that Gary Sinise does not have.
Yeah, go ahead.
To prep Gary, we shaved the top of his head. Since we're changing the hairline and the color of the hair, it was deemed easier that we would shave the top of his head and bring a prosthetic up to it for the latter stages.
The hairpiece is crucial to the final look. It must blend in seamlessly with the prosthetics to look as natural as possible.
Gary, it's like 3.5 hours in the chair, but after the first couple of sessions, when he saw himself in the mirror and he saw himself on film, the change in his character was remarkable. He really was convinced that he was Harry Truman.
Since the actor's skin tones and texture are incorporated into the prosthetics, minimal touch-up is needed on set.
Our materials allow the light to pass into it, much like human tissue. And we match the tonal qualities of the prosthetic inside the material, so that we have to use very, very little makeup on the outside to blend it into the skin.
Truman's director, Frank Pearson, was not seeking to create a carbon copy of Harry Truman.
This is an art. This is not reality. We're not trying to reproduce the actual Truman. What we're trying to do is to provide a reasonable facsimile that the actor can act through. We are watching, and we come to the theaters to see Gary Sinise play Truman. We don't come to see Truman revived from the dead.
Let's do this, Master.
I'm just enthralled that it's a possibility to help create that illusion, to take the audience to a place that they might not truly be able to go to, because it is such a lovely love story between these 2 people who are very, very unique.
What's funny?
For 40 years, every time I reach for this hand, it's always been there.
Each day after filming, as the cast and crew of Truman are packing up and heading home, Diana Scarwid and Gary Sinise face a trip back to the makeup chair for the removal ritual. 5 weeks of intensive daily makeup can take its toll on an actor's face, so the peeling process is done just as carefully as the application, using the most gentle adhesive removers.
It's actually not a bad thing to, after working all day, to lay back in the chair for 45 minutes and let somebody massage your feet and all these people get around you and peel your face off.
As Gordon Smith and his colleagues continue their work with these new prosthetic materials, the art of aging will reach new heights of realism on the screen.
I'm very excited about the whole concept of being able to take this generations farther. And I quite frankly would like to see a lot of people using it, because the only thing that really matters is the end result and that little gift that we've given the audience to suspend their disbelief a little better.
Combining the legacy passed down to them by pioneers like Dick Smith and Robert Schiffer with the technology of tomorrow, special makeup effects artists like Gordon Smith will usher the art of aging into a new era of movie magic.